Okay, now that we have graphed the quadratic functions, we're going to talk about comparing two graphs. So just being able to look at the two equations and decide which one is wider, if it has moved up or down any, and that is the only two things that we're going to look at. Which one is wider and how it has moved up or down. In your notes and in the book, the number in front of this x squared, your a, that is going to determine how wide or narrow your graph is. The larger the value of a, the skinnier your graph. The smaller the value of a, the wider the graph. Can you show me for a minute? Can you see my arms? Okay, so this graph is 0, right? This is a graph of 0 slope. It is 0 fun to ski on this line. As your parabola gets smaller and smaller, it's widening out and it's getting closer to 0, which is that flat line. Whether it's positive and going up, it's flattening to 0, or if it's negative and going down, it will flatten out to 0. So the larger the value, the skinnier the graph. The smaller the value, the closer to 0, the wider the graph. Okay, you can come back. So here, my a is 1. Here, my a is negative 1/3. Now, we're not really going to pay attention to the negative when we're talking about width, because it doesn't matter. We're just looking at the value of the number. So 1/3 is smaller than 1. So the graph of g of x is going to be wider than f of x. And that's what I'm going to write. G of x, and I call it that because it says g of x equals, is wider than f of x. And that is just because 1/3 is smaller than 1. Now, this plus 2 out here. This is my c. If you remember from graphing, this is your y-intercept. So this is where the graph is on the y-axis. Here, we can't see a c, it's 0. Also, side note, this function right here with nothing, just a 1 in front of the x squared and nothing out to the side is called a parent function. So this is just original, it's in the middle, it is what you think of when you think of a parabola. When we start adding numbers before the x squared and numbers back here, we start moving it around the graph, which is what we're talking about. So this plus 2 means that f of x has been moved up 2 units because it is a plus 2. If this was a minus 3, it would go down 3 units. So we're just going to say translated. That's the word when we slide graphs around the coordinate plane. Translated up 2 units. And that's how you answer this question. Which one is wider? And where did you translate? Up or down? And then however many units is just whatever your C is.